What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on some statements that Chris Carter made about Russell Russell Wilson, right? And I think as a quarterback, I like Russell Wilson as a quarterback. I thought that Russell Wilson had a great career in Seattle. And since he has left Seattle, I don't think that, his career has probably gone the way he wanted it to. A lot of people see the reason for his success in Seattle was number one, the coach, Pete Carroll. Like Pete Carroll was a big part of the success of Russell Wilson because he kind of kept Russell Wilson um, like in line, right? He didn't let Russell Wilson do too much. And also they had that defense while they were, while he was there, the Legion of Boom, right? And so that was a big part of the success. And so Russell Wilson wasn't, in my opinion, he wasn't like, he got quarterbacks get a lot of the credit, but he was just a piece of the puzzle, you know. And so some people thought that Russell rubbed them the wrong way. He didn't appreciate the defense, or he thought he was above some people on the team, as a starting quarterback. But that's neither here nor there. Chris Carter made us, he spoke on Russell Wilson and what Russell Wilson, like where he is, like where he is as far as his career now, right? He don't think that Russell is no longer a starter. And he made that statement. So, and which I agree with. I don't think Russell is a starter, but I think as a backup quarterback, I think Russell Wilson, he brings a lot of value to the to whatever team he's a backup quarterback for, especially with the Giants. He's with the Giants now. Like they got that kid Jackson Dart. If Russell Wilson if he leans into his position as a backup quarterback, he could really be an asset to the Giants, right? But sometimes, football players or athletes, they don't want to sit on the bench. They think they're too good to sit on the bench, later in their career, especially if they had the kind of success that Russell Wilson has had. So with that being said, I'm going to play what Chris Carter has said about Russell Wilson, and then I'm going to come back and give my commentary.
Will help them out.
What happens to Russ? Is Russ done? He gonna keep playing?
Done being a starter?
Done being a starter.
First of all, he's done being a starter.
Okay. In the league.
Yes.
Okay. Think he's done with his career?
If he's smart, he wouldn't be.
And just be hanging out getting paid?
Man, Joe Flacco's starting in Cleveland. Like, you never know what can happen. And you're a football player. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's had a Hall of Fame career. What he can provide for an organization in the young quarterback room is priceless. It's priceless, his overall knowledge and everything. Like, let's not slip on what he's done. The guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, been in 10 Pro Bowls. Like, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, he's one throw away from being elite 2 Super Bowl winner. One throw or one handoff away. So let's not, rip apart his whole career. He should be a quality backup, great face of the organization, great guy to have around your younger players. Like, what's a championship mentality? What's your approach to certain defenses? If you ever had this look right here, what would you do?
And he's a good dude. He'll help. He's
great dude.
Yeah, great dude.
Great dude.
Like, he ain't turn his back on.
No, great guy.
Favre, Raj, he's in.
Great
He
guy.
wants to help.
Yes.
Okay. Eagles. They keep
All right,
winning.
so you heard what Chris Carter said about Russell. Like, as a starter, he said he's done, right? And even when when Russell was in Denver and Sean Payton came in, Sean Payton recognized right away that Russell was not, he wasn't a starter anymore in the league. So Sean Payton, he got Russell out of there. He didn't really appreciate Russell. Or they didn't get along too much. But if Russ, I hope that Russell's attitude don't hold him back as far as like starting the next chapter in his career, because this could lead into coaching, coaching jobs because of the success he had at when he was with Seattle, and because of his experience in the league. Like Chris Carter said, he's a very knowledgeable guy. Sometimes players allow their ego because, like I said, they don't see the fact that they lost a step. They don't have the same arm strength as they used to. He can't get away from offensive linemen like he used to be able to. He thinks that his knowledge of the game and his experience will make up for the fact that he lost a step, right? In some cases. But his knowledge of the game and his experience could benefit somebody else, like this kid, Jackson Dart. Everybody's high on Jackson Dart. I think if Russ was to stay with the Giants and Jackson Dart he was to help Jackson Dart develop, and Jackson Dart has some success, I mean, Russ, he could be writing his own check. And I think this right here, this is the perfect opportunity, the perfect segue for Russ to go into coaching and just, continue to make that money, to get to that bag, because of, and who knows, although him and Pete Carroll fell out a little bit, but he might be able to hook back up with Pete Carroll. I know Pete Carroll probably I think he in his 70s, but Russ has enough goodwill around the league, whereas though he could turn his experience and turn that Super Bowl ring into, just parlay that into like more opportunities for himself, whether we want to be coaching, whether he wants it to be broadcasting or something like that. But like Chris Carter said, you got to be smart about that situation. You got to recognize this opportunity for what it is. He's probably thinking to himself that he can still quarterback at an elite level. And sometimes, players need somebody who's just going to be straight up honest with them and tell them like, nah, this ain't it. But we do need you to do this for the team. And so if he leans into what the team needs him for, then he'll, that'll be like more opportunities for Russ. But as a starter, everybody saw what happened in Pittsburgh. He had a little bit of success at Pittsburgh, for a couple games. Then everything just started to fall apart. The same thing in Denver. He was kind of up and down in Denver. He didn't have his first season in Denver was terrible. Wasn't really good at all. His second season in Denver wasn't all that bad. I thought it was a lot better, his second season in Denver. But still, he wasn't Sean Payton. He wasn't Sean Payton's dude. So Sean Payton wanted him out of there. And now, you see where Denver is now. Denver's looking better. Denver's looking good. So now if he could have stayed, if him and Sean Payton could have developed a relationship, if they could have got along, then it would have been different. But Sean Payton just did not, for some reason. Sean Payton was not a fan of Russell Wilson. So, but hopefully Russell Wilson, in my opinion, he take advantage of this opportunity. He take advantage of his experience in the league, and he just lean into being a second string quarterback or somebody on his staff who can help develop Jackson Dart. And Jackson Dart, like I said, a lot of people are high on Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is a highly touted prospect. I even like that Jackson Dart. So Russell Wilson just need to, just to get on the bandwagon, help out where he can, and continue to get to that bag. But I definitely agree with what Chris Carter said. Although you had some guys around the league, like I said, who don't really get along with Russell Wilson. But I mean, it's business now. They trying to get make their money. Russ trying to set himself up in a position where he can make his money. He already made the big contracts. He had a big contract. At Denver, he got paid at Denver. He had a big contract while he was at Seattle. So it's now time for him to accept the fact that he is a backup quarterback. And so, yeah, that's basically that's all I had on Russell Wilson. You know, and with that being said, man, I want y'all to make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.